And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast, episode number 58. Sorry for the messed up hair, it's needing to be cut. Regardless, though, back with one and only Hitmaster. He's back.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm eating peanut M&Ms as well, so there you go. Anyway. Homestead is in the books. A very exciting weekend for all three series. The truck final four is set. We'll go over that more in full later. We'll talk about the races themselves, including Xfinity and Cup, as well as they inch closer. Also, one thing is there were a fuck ton of penalties after this for all three series, as a matter of fact. So we will definitely have to go over all of those. There's also a couple of silly season things, but nothing too massive outside of that. There's like no other real news to talk about, which kind of sad, but oh well. And at the end, again, we'll preview the truck final four. We're going to go through each driver to talk about how they got there and their realistic chances to win the championship. And then we'll look at the playoff grid for Xfinity and Cup and preview their weekend coming up at Martinsville. So, should be a good episode all around. But first, let's get into this past weekend's action at Homestead. I actually got to watch a good amount of the racing. I watched about half the truck race, none of the Xfinity races that at work, and I watched all the Cup race, which was a pleasant surprise for me. Because the Lions were getting massacred, and I did not want to watch that live. So, turned on the race instead, which was a good option. I don't know how much of the action you got to watch this weekend, but
I only got to watch the final stage, to be honest.
Okay.
Because same thing, I was watching the Lions get massacred, and I was just like, you know what, screw it.
Anyway. So for the truck, Corey Heim swept the stages. There really wasn't a lot of wrecks or like any real trouble for any of the drivers. It did come down to a late charge from a few truck drivers to try and make the final four. Weaving and thieving and then moving through the field, but it just wouldn't be. But Carson Hocevar was actually able to take the win from Corey Heim, and was able to lock himself into the final four, needing the win, and he got it. So that was pretty big, and that eliminated Nick Sanchez. What's the name? Fuck. Nick Sanchez, Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, and who's the other guy? Smith guy. I only put Smith down. Who the fuck is he? Hold on.
Zane Smith?
Zane Smith, I think that's his name, yeah. Were the four drivers eliminated, despite a very fruitful attempt at moving on to the final four. If you've been following the truck playoffs pretty closely, you'll be a process elimination. You know who the final four is, but we'll talk about them again at the end of the episode. But there really wasn't much else to mention from the truck race, so nothing too crazy there. And then in the Xfinity race, we saw trouble for Chandler Smith, a playoff contender. Had an accident that really screwed up his chances of moving on. Dale Jr. ran this race. It was his last race of the season. In his limited Xfinity schedule, he put one of his own drivers in the wall. That would be Josh Berry he put in the wall, which was hilarious, actually. That was pretty funny to watch. But some reason, for every time a Junior Motorsports like fuck up happens in a race, one of their cars always seems to win. And it was this case, as Sam Mayer pulled off a pretty improbable win to advance to the Final Four in the Xfinity Series. I think it's his third win of the season, and he needed it bad. He had to win, and he was able to pull it off on a non-road course. His first non-road course win So that was pretty clutch on his part. He definitely had to earn it. There was a lot of close restarts at the end that he really had to fight out competition for. So definitely well earned there. And I'm glad to see him go to the Final Four because I think he has a lot of potential. And he's just getting that early boost to go to the championship, which is going to be really, really good for him. So that was good to see. Then let's talk about this cup race. First, let me take a drink of water because I'm very thirsty today. I don't know why. Yeah, so the cup race. Kyle Larson dominated most of this race, sweeping the stages, and just running away with it. It was a very boring start overall. I thought nobody was really making a move at all. A lot of people were talking about tire wear, which again, it's not something I would really think was a problem for Homestead. It's probably the new tires with the new car that has something to do with it at this point. Things were getting down near the end of the race. Things were, they were going okay. They were doing pit stops, and then Kyle Larson has a blunder and hits the pit barrier going into pit road, which caused a caution, took him out of the race after winning both stages. Think good for him. He already won and advanced, but it caused a long red flag so they could clean it up, and that set up a pretty exciting end to the race overall. It ended up being a pretty bad day for Hamlin and Martin Truex as Hamlin got caught up in an accident, and not even 5 minutes later, Martin Truex blew his engine under caution. That was very reminiscent of last year's Darlington race when Truex and Kyle Busch blew up right back to back. So that was pretty wild to see, both of them finishing 30th and 29th respectively. Keselowski had a good run going for most of the day, but he got caught up in an accident and ended up finishing multiple laps down. Ross Chastain was running up front for a good part of the race. He got caught up in a crash too. I think he finished 31st. But through all that, it would be Christopher Bell, who was almost a lap down at one point and was pretty much written out of the race contention for the win. Was able to make a big comeback late, and was able to get the win and advance to his second consecutive Final Four appearance, which is really improbable to see. Again, Joe Gibbs having a really terrible day with Hamlin and Truex both getting wrecked out and blown up late in the race, and then you have Christopher Bell going on to the win. That was pretty crazy to watch, but he definitely earned it. Being able to avoid all the chaos and the carnage and being able to get the correct strategy at the end and get the win to move on. So I'm not a big Gibbs fan, but I definitely do enjoy watching Christopher Bell race. So it was nice to see that win. But that was it, really, for my thoughts about Homestead. Honestly, it was a Homestead-esque weekend. I still think it's not as good of a race anymore because it's not the championship race. I think that was his entire personality and philosophy. I don't think it's a really conducive racetrack for some really exciting racing in the rest of the season. But we definitely saw a pit road blunder, and we saw some good restarts and good finishes near the end, and we saw a lot of drivers lock their spots into the Final Four. So, did what it needed to do. I think it was a pretty fair weekend overall. So, Hitmaster, I don't know if you got any other thoughts about the weekend you'd like to add?
Not really. Other than I'm happy for Christopher Bell. I think his last win was at Bristol, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, good for Bell. Getting locked into a chance for a championship.
Sorry. Well, good stuff there for sure. But that was not where the Homestead problems ended for a lot of drivers. like I said at the beginning of the episode, there were a fuck ton of penalties. We're about to go over all of them right now. So, there was one penalty in the Cup Series. Ryan Newman was fined $10,000 for breaking code on like protective equipment, like dress code, wearing the right equipment. I don't know why. Didn't really hear. Couldn't really find what like specifically he was wearing that like caused the penalty. But I mean, $10,000 probably not pocket change for him anymore. But at one point it probably was. But for most drivers, it's probably pocket change. But he had to pay that. Then in the Xfinity Series, whoa, look at this list. 74 team, 21 team, and 19 team were all penalized for loose lug nuts / tires. Now, the 74 team did lose a tire partway through the race and crash. So I knew, after seeing that, I knew a penalty was coming there, but I did not know anything about the 21 or the 19. So for the 74 team, though, pretty standard protocol. 2 74 team crew members have been suspended for 2 races, which, with only 2 races left to go in the season, is the rest of the season. So that's that. The 21 team crew chief was fined $10,000 and is suspended for 1 race, so you can come back at Phoenix. And the 19 crew chief was fined $5,000, but no suspension. I couldn't find exactly what happened with the 21 or the 19 team. I think it was just specifically a loose lug nut, but the tire did not fall off. So that might have been what it was. I have really no idea, but still a wild scenario there for sure. And then the Truck Series. The 98 truck team was penalized for front suspension, and the 15 and 17 truck teams were both fined for loose lug nuts. So the penalty for the 98 team, the team was docked 10 driver and owner points, and the 15 and 17 crew chiefs were both fined $2,500, but no suspensions at all. So some pretty wild stuff there. I don't know why Homestead is so conducive for that, but there you go, I guess. You know, you're just trying to, I guess you just got to try and figure out what you got to do, I guess, to try and win. At the cost of a couple $1,000s when you could millions, why not, I guess. That wasn't all, though. We had another... So, now Matthew Nelson. I don't know who Matthew Nelson is, but we're going to find out.
I'm looking up that name now.
Oh. Is that it? No. Oh. So this is in response to the truck drivers that were arrested for driving under the influence. This was a while back, about a couple months ago. Matthew Nelson was one of the people involved in that. He has been indefinitely suspended from the sport entirely, while Chris Hacker, who was another one of the people involved, is now eligible to return to the sport. So that was both announced, I think earlier today or yesterday at the time of recording this. But absolutely wild that this guy was indefinitely suspended. I mean, we saw, what was it, Kurt Busch, who got caught for driving, I think it was driving under the influence or just like a road rage incident. That was the incident that got him suspended from Roush. And immediately, the thing that caused him to lose his ride at Roush, he got suspended just a few races because of that. Travis Guapo got caught up in the law a couple times. He didn't have to. Maybe he didn't. He just sucks too. So maybe that's why he left. I don't know. But wow, that was something to read for sure. But so definitely, I think the correct action to suspend them and fine them. I don't know about indefinite suspension though. It's kind of wild, but what are you gonna do? I guess so. I don't know if you got any other takes on that one, on any of those penalties, Hitmaster, but
other than that's a lot to process. I can't think of anything.
definitely crazy for sure. But that's all, man. Can't really say that's all. That's a long penalty list for a race. I haven't seen a penalty list that long ever, I think.
Right.
But now, after that, we can officially put Homestead in the books. So, last mile and a half track done for the season. All done. Okay. I only had a couple other things on the list. They're both silly season related. The first one was prior to the Homestead race, but announcement. Chandler Smith, who's right now, I think, with Colleague in the Xfinity Series. Announcement is made he's going over to Joe Gibbs next season to run their Xfinity ride full-time next season. So, making the big jump. I want to say it's a good equipment jump, but who knows at this point with Gibbs. I think it still is an improvement. But Colleague's definitely more on a rise than Joe Gibbs is. So, it'll be crazy. It'll be good to see what he can do in stronger equipment. Hopefully get some wins. Hopefully continue to contend. But we'll just have to see. Quiet move there. And then the only other one, which was announced earlier today at the time of recording this, Jesse Love, who currently, actually I don't know what he used to drive, but he's moving up to the number 2 Childress ride in the Xfinity Series in 2024. Full-time next season, taking over that ride from Sheldon Creed, actually, who we talked about earlier, is moving over to a different ride. Oh, so he's an ARCA driver. Is Jesse Love. 18-year-old wheelman dominated the ARCA Menard Series circuit this season with 10 wins in 20 races en route to the championship. Talk about domination. Holy shit. It's a Richard Petty win percentage there. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean that's really all I had for news. For the week, I just did a little final look at the internet and see if there's anything new to talk about, but there really is not. A very championship focused run right now. So definitely have to worry about that. Before we get to previewing the truck Final Four, I don't know if Hitmaster, you got any other news about anything to talk about?
Nothing came out yet for Corgan Oil yet. Still trying to find some stuff for that. But until that, I guess we're just going to have to wait until they post something.
Alrighty. Could have raced this weekend. It's fucking 60, 70 degrees tomorrow. They could have ran tomorrow. Little fundraiser event, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so before we get to the Xfinity and Cup grid, like I said earlier in the episode, I wanted to run through the truck Final Four in an entirety. Not like we usually do with the grids and stuff, but I want to name each of the drivers, go over them, and say how they got here and everything. And really their chance to win the championship, what's going on with that. So here's some news that just popped up. Zane Smith in the truck race was disqualified after the race due to a windshield support malfunction.
Odd.
He lost 16 stage points. He was already eliminated regardless of the disqualification. But, Interesting. Seems like they were trying to cheat there. Get into the Final Four. Nobody would notice. Anyway. So, points are reset, but at this point for the trucks, points don't matter. It's coming down to just 4 drivers. Find out who's going to make it to the end of the run and who's going to win the championship. Figure out who's gonna do the do, as we say. So the first driver up in the Final Four, technically placing in 4th, is actually Grant Enfinger. And this is a feel-good story because he runs for the GMS truck team in the 23. It is their last cup as their last race before they officially go bankrupt. So what a way to go out on top would it be for a Grant Enfinger to actually win the race and win the championship in their final go around. I think that would be just an absolute feel good story, and I would definitely be rooting for him for sure. And I'm gonna definitely try and watch the race for that reason, because I think that would be really, really cool to see happen. I can't find their win. Can I click on their drive? Oh yeah, here we go. So you got 3 wins on the season so far. 12 top 10s, 9 top 5s. He got a pole. It's 232 laps. He's seeking his 2nd truck championship. He won it in 2019. He's already got wins this season at Kansas, Gateway, and Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mile. So 3 very different tracks, and the Milwaukee Mile is definitely the most closest to Phoenix, I would say, as far as track layout and everything. But it'll definitely be pretty interesting to see how he performs. I think he's got, just go all out. The team's gonna just throw everything they've got left into winning this thing, going out on top, and all fun and dandy. And that would definitely be really, really cool to see. So everybody's gonna be rooting for you, Grant. Hope you can win. The only Ford driver in the Final Four is technically lining up 3rd, but again, points don't matter, is Ben Rhodes out of Thor Sport Racing, the number 99 truck. Click on his profile here. He has 1 win on the season. 13 top 10s, 6 top 5s, no poles, 112 laps led. His one win this season came at Charlotte way back when, but he has finished runner-up the last 2 races and in the top 10 the last 3 races. So definitely has a good track record, though he does have a pretty inconsistent run. He got 11th, 3rd, 5th, 10th, 10th, 19th, 6th, 16th, 18th, 33rd, 1st, 7th, 9th, 5th, 9th, 12, 16, 16, 25, 7, 2, 2. So he's definitely been a little more all over the place than Grant Enfinger has. But he's definitely shown up in the last couple of races, and it's definitely got the momentum going on his side. So that'll be very interesting to see. He is also gunning for his second truck championship. He won it in 2021 as well. So 2 drivers looking for a repeat so far. So it'll definitely be really good to see how he can do. Again, the only Ford in the lineup with Thor Sport. So it'll definitely be good to see how he can contend there. So technically ranked second, the second and other Chevy in the field, being the last week's winner, Carson Hocevar. Now with 4 wins on the season, 13 top 10s, 11 top 5s, 0 poles. He does have 3 DNFs, however, so that's a little high for a championship driver. His 3 wins this season came at Texas, Nashville, Richmond, and then Homestead. So 4 wins, actually. I don't know why they didn't update it. So he has 4 wins this season. All on 1.5-mile tracks, though, except Richmond, which is a short track. But Richmond's pretty close to Phoenix as far as proximity of like track dimensions and everything like that, though it's a little larger, but has like the same kind of like layout going. So I definitely think that'll play into his advantage. And also he's coming off of a win, and really going all the way back to even like Darlington, he has been on a really good tear. Like Darlington, not like in September, Darlington way back in like May, he has been on a really good tear. After a not great start to the season, he got 12th, 7th, 31st, 34th, then the win on 17th, 34th, 31st, but he's only been outside the top 10 3 times since, and top 15 each time. So he's definitely been going pretty good there. He's a young, hungry driver who's now got some Cup experience in him. Definitely looking to grow as far as where he can drive next season, with already some big plans for him figured out. So he wants to go out strong. He's probably not going to race trucks enough anymore to be in a position to win the championship there. So it'll definitely be interesting. He's going to gun for his first championship. He's young. He's hungry. I think that will be a good step for him to go win the championship. So, and then technically ranked first, though again points don't matter, the only Toyota in the group, and that would be Corey Heim. If I click on his bio here, we'll figure it out. There we go. 3 wins, 19 top 10s, 12 top 5s, 3 poles, does have only 1 DNF, and he has led many, many, many more laps than the rest of the field so far. His wins this season came at Martinsville, Mid-Ohio, and Bristol. And really, wow, look at this track record. He has not finished outside the top 10 since the Bristol Dirt Race way back in March, and actually only 2 times all season has he finished outside the top 10, that being in Bristol Dirt and Atlanta, which was his only DNF of the season. But wow, he has had a really consistent, good track record so far, though. That's going to prove, I think, really good for him as far as momentum. As far as momentum goes, really, as far as, fighting for a championship, he is definitely probably the favorite going in, as far, like, statistically the favorite going in, not really fan reception probably, but you know, I think he's got some good stuff going for him. And the season he has had, I think, has put a lot of people on notice already, and I think capping it off with a championship would only exacerbate that, especially for Tricon and everything going on there. So that would really be really good to see. So that's your 4 truck drivers that will fight it out for the championship a week from today, actually, at the time of this going out. A little over a week from now. You got a few hours still, probably, till the green flag at that point. But that is your truck final 4. Again, Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes, Carson Hocevar, and Corey Heim will be duking it out at Phoenix. So, Hitmaster, you got any other points you would like to add for your previews of the playoff drivers?
I really hope GMS wins their last race for the championship. This would be storybook.
It would very much be storybook. I'll definitely be rooting for him. For sure. Really don't want Ben Rhodes to win since he's already won the championship. Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim have not won the championship yet, so it'll be cool to see either one of those win their first title, but it's really hard to root against a team in their last race going for a championship. So I think there will definitely be a lot of fan support for that, so be a lot of fun to see. So well, that's the truck final 4. We'll put them to rest for the weekend as they prepare for their finale and shift gears again to the Xfinity and Cup playoffs as they get ready to go this weekend at Martinsville Speedway. The paperclip serving as the cutoff for the final 4 for Xfinity and Cup. And then this should be a good one all around. A lot of tight playoff action going on, especially in the Cup Series. There was a huge point shift in the Cup Series this weekend. Hamlin and Truex falling behind, Blaney getting ahead, and Bell winning to lock himself in. So definitely be all bets are off, especially and even in the Xfinity too. There's a lot of drivers been coming and going, stuff to fight for a title. So it'll be really good, especially at a short track like Martinsville. The short track package has not been great, and it's going to be hard to live up to the Hail Melon finish from last year, but one can only hope that we get half that exciting of a finish. So anyway, I don't know if you got any other points, Hitmaster, but if you want to pull up the points grids.
Alright. So, right now, I'll start off with the Cup Series, and I'll go to the Xfinity Series, and then we will skip the Truck Series just for now, since we know the top 4 drivers for the Truck Series.
Yeah.
For the Cup Series, Chris Buescher is most likely eliminated from the playoff. He has to be in a must-win situation, because he is 43 points behind the cutoff. So the historic season will come to an end most likely.
Well, whoa. You know what you're talking about here, right? Don't count him out.
Dude, he got lucky the last 2 races when it was Michigan and Richmond, okay?
Hey, I mean, it's a Richmond short track win. He could easily win again. I'm just saying. Remember what happened last year? Do not count anybody out just yet, okay?
Cool. Then you have Denny Hamlin, who is tied with his teammate Martin Truex Jr., 17 points behind the cutoff. And then you have Tyler Reddick, who is negative 10 points behind Ryan Blaney, who is 10 points above Tyler Reddick. And then you got 30 points ahead of the cutoff, William Byron, who is looking for his first ever championship. And then we don't have to talk about the first place and second place person because it's Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, who are locked into the Final Four. One of them's looking for their second championship. One of them's looking for their first championship. So, who knows who will win? But that's the Cup Series going into Martinsville. I remember the new rule: you can't do a what do they call it? Castain into the wall.
Yeah, they're calling that illegal now, which, so, I don't know.
Sucks. But, I mean,
it's for driver and fan safety, though, so
true. But now we go on to the Xfinity Series. Shelton Creed is 65 points behind the cutoff. Now that may be over. All of these three drivers need to win. Shelton Creed, he's 65 points behind the cutoff. Chandler Smith, who is 54 points behind the cutoff. Sammy Smith, who is 49 points behind the cutoff. And then one person who is 3 points behind the cutoff, Justin Allgaier.
Oh, man.
Then 3 points above the cutoff, tied with third place, Austin Hill and Cole Custer. And then 44 points above the cutoff is John Hunter Nemechek. And then you got Sam Mayer, a junior motorsports driver, who's just trying to stay in. So, who knows? Maybe he'll win the championship. But we still have a lot to go.
Yeah, that Xfinity race, though, 3 drivers in must-win territory. You know, they're going to be playing pretty rough out there on Saturday, so definitely be crazy to watch there. And Chris Buescher, like I said, he can pull anything out of his ass and try and win the race. Truex and Hamlin are probably going to be pretty desperate because technically they're still in points contention, but, you know, they're far back, and they're trying to rebound, and especially Reddick, too, going for his first championship still. And so, and on the Xfinity side, I mean, you got Allgaier trying not to get eliminated after him having a really, really good season, but with just a lot of what-ifs for winning, and you don't want that to come back to bite you in the ass, especially here at this point in the season. So, a lot of season's frustrations and works and efforts are going to boil over here, and it should be a good one to watch this weekend. I'm hoping to watch it. I think I'll get to watch most of the Xfinity. Cup, probably not. So that kind of sucks, but we'll see. Anyway. Nobody, we don't got anything else. It is time for our race predictions of the weekend. Again, trucks are off this weekend. It is just Xfinity and Cup. To try and lock themselves into the Final Four. So let's start with Xfinity. Who do we got this weekend?
So, for me, I'm going to go with one of the Smiths. Just because since that's my last name, I'm going to try and go for it. And I think that Sammy Smith will win and help him get into the playoffs. Interesting choice.
I pick him seemingly every week, and I'm going to pick him again just because he's in desperate position to try and win the race. I'm going to pick Justin Allgaier again. Get 2 junior motorsports drivers in the Final Four. I think that'll be a good one. So, especially with stuff going down. So, and then it is time to predict our Cup race. Do we have the chips today?
Yes, we do.
Oh boy.
Right. So this is for you. I'm mixing it around. Brad Keselowski.
Interesting choice. They keep saying he's due for a win. I don't know. I don't know if he's due for a win, but not a bad choice, I'll be honest with you.
Move.
Hitmaster's choice.
Oh. I got Chase Briscoe, so none of the playoff people got chosen.
I'm sorry to say, you're not winning with Chase Briscoe.
Oh,
even,
no.
Even still racing. I haven't heard his name in weeks. Probably since
and I'm going to have to get rid of this Kevin Harvick one.
Probably not even. Oh, yeah.
Better I'll just keep it and just pretend that it's Josh Berry.
Could. Yeah, that's another possibility. But anyways, guys, that's our predictions, and that's really going to end it for the week for the Talking NASCAR podcast. I know it's still a shorter episode, even though longer than last week, but not by much. Next week will be a really good episode, though, because we will recap Martinsville, talk about who got in both the Xfinity Final Four and the Cup Final Four. We're going to preview both of those. Same way we did the trucks this week. We're going to preview each driver individually. It's going to be a lot of fun. Talk about the racing weekend's action and everything. Go over any silly season news that we get. Though I'm not expecting too much, being championship week. And then, of course, at the end, we will preview the victories, the who we think is good. Preview Phoenix, who's going to win the races, and more importantly, who's going to win the championship. So, should be good stuff there. So, be good. Anyway. Kind of got a little off track there. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, though, this week. If you would like to be a guest, though, on the Talking NASCAR podcast, I can get you on any week. All you got to do is join the Pringles Sun & Company Discord server, request the Talking NASCAR role. We'll get you in there. You can message me or Hitmaster. We will schedule a time for you to get on, and we will have you on, and it should be a good time. So go ahead and join, especially with the off season coming up. We'll always take guests. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Stay tuned for other much more amazing content from me and from Hitmaster. Check around with us and check out the other much more amazing content we both got. And that's going to do it again. So until next week, we'll see you guys later. Drop your Final Four predictions in the comments. And goodbye.